Hi, my name is Rick Noel, and welcome to this edition in a video series on Artemis, which is an application that I wrote that helps you find photos very quickly on your computer. In this episode, we're going to discuss making Artemis aware of new files that you've shot, and also to talk about the batch rename and batch move command that allows you to organize your photos within Artemis. So initially, when you fire up Artemis, when you install Artemis, it's going to prompt you for the root folder where all of your photos and subfolders reside that contain your photographs. And it does an initial scan and builds up a database of all the information that it finds in your photographs. Now, subsequent to that initial scan, you're going to take more photographs with your camera, and you're going to want to import those photographs so Artemis is aware of those. So to do that, we will jump into the live demo and show you the import command. So first thing you'll do is you'll take your memory card out of your camera, put it into the computer, and then go to the File menu and choose Import Photos. And so as you can see from the icon here, we're looking for photos that exist on your memory card. So we'll click on the home icon here so we can see everything that exists on this PC. We click on that, and we see that this is our memory card, the EOS Digital, I shoot Canon. We'll go to the DSIM directory and finally to the Canon directory. And here now we see a list of all of our files. And I'm going to sort these by the date that they were taken. And so I'm going to essentially import the files that were taken on April 23rd. That's the last set of photos that I took. And so we'll select all these photos here to import. Then I click Open. And what will happen is, as you can see here, Artemis is importing the various photos, copying them off of the memory card, and then putting them into your photos directory on your computer so that they can be searched for later. And so now it's doing a scan to recognize and process those photos that were copied. So it's now reading the metadata out of those photo files that were imported and updating this database with the information about those photos. So this should take just a few more moments. And these are photographs that I've taken of Great Sand Dunes National Park here in Colorado. So once we get those images processed, what we're going to do is use the batch move and rename command so that we will move these files to a folder under our Great Sand Dunes folder, and we'll rename the files. As you can see here, the names that the Canon gives them in the camera are IMG underscore and a sequence number, which is not terribly descriptive. Okay, so at the end of the import, you'll see here we've imported 22 files into my pictures folder. And there's just a little additional information here that says we should consider running the batch move rename to organize these files into their own folder, and also to rename them to something more descriptive so we can search on that descriptive name if we'd like. And also another additional tip here that we may, while we're working on these photos, set the location and some tags if we wish. Again, two properties of the photograph that if you set those in Artemis will make it easier to search on those values later on. So we're going to hit OK. And as I said, we're going to select all of these files that were taken at Great Sand Dunes. And we're going to want to move them and rename them. So we're going to go to the batch move rename command. Now, as you can see in this user interface here, two areas to pay attention to. First is this table at the bottom. And this table is essentially showing you the original name of each of these files. And again, they're all stored in the pictures directory when you first import them. And they're given the name used by created by the manufacturer. And in the new name column will be the new folder if we move the files, and the new name if we generate a new name for the files that we've imported. And up above here in these set of controls is where we're going to actually do the move and the rename. So first thing we may want to do is move the files to a particular folder. So if I click on this folder, I may want to say, okay, well, these photos were taken at Great Sand Dunes in Colorado, so I'm going to put them underneath the Colorado folder. And I already have a folder called Great Sand Dunes here, so I'm going to go in here, and I've got them listed by the date that they were taken. And so what I'll do in this case is create another new folder here. Excuse me, wrong Sand Dunes. A new folder here. And these were taken on April 23rd of 2021. And I like to usually use the year first, and then the month, and then the day, the 23rd. And so I'm going to select that folder as the folder they're going to be moved to. And as you can see, the new name folder now has the Colorado Great Sand Dunes and my new directory name where these files will get moved. Now, currently, they also have the IMG_ name, which is again, not very descriptive. So one of the things that I can do now is change the name of the file. And I do that by clicking on the rename text field here. And now I can start typing in a more descriptive name for my files. So again, these are Great Sand Dunes. So I'm going to say Great Sand Dunes. And you'll notice as I'm typing, the names are getting changed here in this column of the table. Now, by typing in the name Great Sand Dunes, I've now mapped all these particular file names to the same one. So I'm going to want to address adding a unique aspect to each file name so they don't all get clobbered. But before I do that, I also like to include in the file name the date that the photo was taken. And I can insert parts of the date by using these controls here. So, for example, I may want to insert the year, and that's this icon here. This is 1999. So if I click that, you'll see that it added 2021 to the name of the file. Then I like to put the month in next, which is this icon here. So if I click on that, you'll see that it added 04 after the 2021 for April. So these are all taken in April. And finally, I'll click on the day of the month, which is this icon here, and that adds the 23rd. Now, again, all these file names are mapping to exactly the same file name here, and they'll all get clobbered. So I do need to add something unique to each of the file names. So I'm going to add an underscore separator here. And now I'm going to add a sequence number to these file names so that they all become unique. Now, the first thing I have three choices, and the first choice here is to use the original sequence. So in this case, this will copy 9575 over to that first file, 9576 to the next one, and so on. So if I choose to insert sequence, you'll see it takes the exact same sequence numbers from the original file name and copies them over to the new one. Now, I could, since I know in this case I've created a new directory, I can reset the sequencing. I don't have to maintain this number here. So if I choose that option, you'll see that the sequencing now starts from 1 and goes on from there. Now, if I were not adding these files to a new folder, but moving them to an existing folder, and I wasn't sure whether or not there were going to be file names of the same name, and I wasn't sure if the sequencing was going to be unique, I could always choose append to sequencing. And when I do that, Artemis will scan all of the sequence numbers of all the files in the directory where these photo files are going to go and find the highest numbered sequence and then start this sequence number with one more than that and continue on down. In this case, the append isn't going to do anything different since this is a new folder and it doesn't have any sequences to analyze. So it's going to start basically similar to the, reset sequencing here. So I'm going to go with the reset sequencing here. And now when I hit OK, it just says it's not going to be undone. Just want to confirm. Now, if there were some files that existed under the same name, if I were moving them to an existing directory, it will identify those files that already exist and prompt me to confirm that I want to overwrite them. So you never have to worry that you might clobber something that already exists. But in this case, it isn't, so I'm ready to proceed. So I'll hit OK. And now, as you can see, it's scanning the photographs after moving them so it can update its database to show. Now you see it's used the new file name that I gave it with the Great Sand Dunes prefix, the date it was taken, and the new reset sequencing number. So that's how we rename and move files to unique folders, and also how we import files from our camera card so that we can make Artemis aware of them. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you want to learn more about Artemis and the additional functionality that it has, you can go to my website specified here, and on that page you'll see more descriptive text about Artemis and links to all of the other videos that I've done in this series. Thank you for watching.